All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the lab reports and how they're going to be formatted this year. So this is for chemistry and physics. So I have a setup where we want us to go in after we've done with a lab, and we're going to do a lab write-up. So the lab write-ups are going to be systematically the same. We're going to start with an intro, some sort of background information. So intro background information is going to be like, how does this lab connect with what we're studying currently in what unit? So like this last one we did with the golf ball drop and measuring the thickness of aluminum foil. Both had to do with measurement, and then one had to do with like a concept of acceleration due to gravity, and the other one had a concept to do with more like measurement and significant figures. So you just add something about measurement and significant figures are important, so we need to do this lab, and this is going to help us practice measurement and significant figures. Beautiful. There's your background. Then the next thing is you're going to do a purpose. Why are we doing this? In other words, what's the purpose of the lab? The purpose is usually a question. More than likely it's in the title, like determining the thickness of the aluminum foil was the name of the lab. Guess what the purpose of the lab is? To determine the thickness of the aluminum foil. Dropping the golf ball was to calculate the acceleration due to gravity. Guess what the purpose is? To calculate the acceleration due to gravity. So the purpose is usually the title of the lab. So then there's a hypothesis if necessary, and neither of these labs that we did in chemistry or physics needed a hypothesis. So what equipment did you use? What equipment are we going to be using? We're going to be using a golf ball, a meter stick, and a stopwatch, and a video, whatever. Or if we're doing the thickness of the aluminum foil, we're using a metric ruler, some aluminum foil, a digital balance, calculator right there. Then we're going to need a procedure and a summary. In other words, just tell the story. You're telling a story here. Just write it up. Like, what happened? Who was there? What did we do? How did it go? Just procedurally what happened. It does not have to be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Matter of fact, I'd prefer it to not be that. Then, as per usual, you just expect to see data and calculations from that point. So data and calculations are going to follow your procedure, your summary write-up. And so if everybody's writing their own version of what happened in their own words, guess what's not going to be the same? The procedure and summary section of everybody's lab will be different. So let's keep that in mind. Then conclusion. Wait a minute, I don't have that written in here. So we're going to put in conclusion. Conclusion answers the purpose. Okay? So the conclusion of the lab answers the purpose. So if the purpose of the lab was to determine what is the acceleration due to gravity near Earth, or what is the thickness of aluminum foil, then the conclusion down here, conclusion, will answer the purpose. So the purpose was to determine the acceleration due to gravity. The conclusion answers that. We calculated the acceleration due to gravity to be 10.46. Well, we know it's 9.81, but this is what we got. So remember, your conclusion answers the purpose. And then the last thing is if you had possible errors or error calculation. So in the determining the acceleration due to gravity, we can calculate our percent error at the end because we know what the value is. Okay? So this is the setup right here. This is how your labs are going to look top to bottom. You're going to do an intro. You're going to do a purpose. What's the point of doing the lab? Hypothesis if necessary. Not on this one. What equipment did you use? What's your procedure summary, data, and calculations? Then we're going to do a conclusion, answering the purpose. If the purpose was to do something, then the conclusion is to say this is what we got. And then you're going to say, here's the possible errors we might have faced. Okay? So that's the overview for your lab reports. That's going to happen all year long, you guys. Thanks. We'll talk soon.